The only real God is the one that you believe in. Start looking for the God in others. And if you find you're tuning into a wave, well then I don't know much about being saved.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, friends.
Welcome into another episode of Spiritual Philosophy Chatter with the Joneses. I am Danny Jones.
And I am Samantha Jones.
And this is episode 157.
157.
This starts our new
I was just
year.
going to say that. Our
It's
new
our
season.
podcast new year.
It's, the start of the fourth season.
Start of the fourth season.
Yep.
Very good.
Yeah.
And what is our topic today?
This is enjoying the season you are in.
Very good.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Cool. Well, before we hop into it, anything about last week you want to share?
Yes, last week was our 3rd anniversary special.
Yay.
And we answered questions, and then I did some readings. And let's see, I have responses on 2 of the readings. The first one is from Carrie. We talked to Emmy Lynn, her little baby. Mm-hmm. And she said, Samantha, I cannot thank you enough for the reading. Although we still grieve for Emmy Lynn, we are excited to know that the soul is coming back and into a healthy body. As far as the soul not coming back as the same sex, I was aware this can happen. A boy is the feeling we have all gotten already, and to hear you say that just makes us believe it.
Cool.
Yay. You know, I usually hate to predict the sex of a baby. Like, I'm telling you, 9 out of 10 times if somebody comes to me and says, what sex is this baby? I am wrong. Because I don't really tune in to my abilities as much, you know. But in a situation like this, it literally just came to me. And it was like, it's a boy. But I didn't want to come out and say that because I'm like, I have a bad track record with these, you know. So I just said, it's not a girl, hint, hint. Or something like that. Anyways, when you have this baby, you'll have to let us know.
Yeah, for sure. I want to know now.
Yeah. So thank you, Carrie, for that.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Carrie.
it. And then the next one is from Kathy. We talked to Kyle for her. She says, thank you for the reading on Kyle. You got it right that he is a happy, full of life guy. And I'm glad he is doing things he never got to do here. He didn't travel much, so I'm glad for him. I appreciate your readings and time and energy, and I'm so glad I came across you guys when Coda passed. It's her doggy. Yeah. At the time, I just saw your pet readings page, and I now know I was meant to meet you. And though I haven't met you, I feel like you are a mentor and friend. When I travel to California next, I'm coming to see you guys.
That's good. That's cool.
Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate that. I truly believe that the universe brings us the people that are supposed to find us. Right. And these are ways. You know?
That's for sure.
For sure.
Very cool.
And then we answer 2 listeners' questions every week. So this week we are going to answer 2 questions from Hillary.
Okay.
Hillary says, I have a dog. I'm waiting to reincarnate back to me. I've been keeping an eye out, but just haven't found him yet. Can they be in a body already, or are they still spirits on the other side until I find him? Do pets reincarnate and then try and find us, or do the spirits wait until we are close, then they take the form? I keep manifesting him. He will be home soon. I can feel it. Right. This is a great question. And you know what? There's so many ways I believe that the reincarnation can happen. Mm-hmm. I think it can happen in both of the ways where the soul comes into the body as a puppy in this case, or it comes in as an adult. Mm. But it can also be born as a puppy but not come to you right away. It could go to somebody else.
Yeah, because they're a baby. They have no control.
Yeah.
But they're also not aware anymore of their past life.
Right.
But you just have to trust the universe is going to bring you back to each other. And
Absolutely.
Then when it does happen, then you'll start to recognize things that are familiar, probably either about the behaviors or certain things about the new animal that go, oh,
yeah,
that's a lot like so-and-so.
Exactly, yep. I always wonder about Sabbath, if he's one of my ferrets, Cosmo, because he has a lot of the same behaviors. Mm-hmm. But then, with Betty, we knew that Betty was coming to us, and I thought that it was going to be Sequoia coming back. And then when I actually got a reading on her and the soul, and it was Nisha that did it. And Nisha said, it's not Sequoia, it's a red dachshund. And that's Ripple. That's the first dachshund that I had, the one that I learned to communicate with.
Right.
So that's what we believe, that Betty is the reincarnation of Ripple. But Betty is probably like 8 or 9 years old, okay? So what happened? Did she live her whole life out as the same soul, right? As old Ripple, right? Or did old Ripple come into her body later?
That's true.
That's believe
possible.
Either way is possible. Yeah. Either way is totally possible. Yeah. You know, it just depends on the soul. They can choose which way. But you will always find the animal that's meant for you. If the universe, like if something were to happen, you know, like free will, they'll bring it to you in another way. So I'll give you an example with Zuma. Zuma was meant for us. But like, let's say that we wouldn't have gone back for him. Right. They would have found a way to bring us that soul in another body. Yeah. So the soul, you know, for me, I don't even know if it gets in there until you have them or whatever. We really don't know, but there's so many ways.
Not to get too like morbid or, you know, sad, but like with the Betty situation, I could almost see where that definitely could be possible, only because she was found in the desert and unable to walk and had been attacked by what they believe coyotes. Yeah. Well, if you ever wanted to give up on life at any time, that's a time where somebody might want to give up on life.
The soul might want to leave. Yeah.
And if Betty's initial soul said, I'm done.
Yeah.
That would have given Ripple an opportunity to say, I'll jump in.
Exactly.
I'll deal with this pain or whatever it is.
Yep.
But I need to come back.
Yep.
You know,
absolutely.
That's possible.
I believe it. I absolutely believe that's possible. And Betty came to us. At the point when Betty did come to us, I was telling you, I don't think I want a third dog. Even though we knew that she was coming, I said, I don't know that I want it. And it happened anyways. And you'll know, like, things will move smoothly. Like, let's say you're adopting, there won't be roadblocks. It'll just go really smoothly for you. So, but it will happen the way it's supposed to. So don't worry about missing that soul. That soul will come to you for sure.
Yeah.
So let's see her other question. Okay. Any info on vibrations? I know you talk about them, but I just want to know more. When you feel your vibrations are off, what do you do to help get yourself back on track? If you've done an episode on it, I missed it, I apologize. We have, but it's been a long time. Yeah. So, yeah, and another subject that we love to talk about. This is something that we really learned over time, was even to recognize each other's vibration when it's off. Like you said to me, I don't know, it was like a week ago, you're like, your vibration is off. I'm like, by like this much, like so slightly. How could you even feel that? But it's true. Once you realize where somebody vibrates and you pick that up, you know when there's any fluctuation in that. When mine is off, I usually feel nervous, anxious, snappy. I was talking to a friend of mine today. We went hiking, and I told her, I'm like, my energy and vibration is like always at the same level, pretty much. It's like always. So when something triggers me and makes me off of that vibration, you can tell because I become snappy, short fused, and that's not like me at all. So then I know my vibration is way off and I need to figure out a way to balance it. So you just have to really pay attention to what it is that, you feel. When you feel good, how does that feel? Then when you feel bad, how does that feel? And then you'll realize, where your norm is and all that,
Yeah, I just had a thought and it just escaped me.
Oh, but I hate when that goes.
I hate when that happens.
Me too, but it happens more and more as you get older, that's for sure.
I think the most important thing is what makes you happy, Hillary. Like, when you think of like, oh, it's Friday, I've got, here comes the weekend. What do you think of that puts you in a good mood? What do you look forward to?
Yep.
That's right there, boom. You're recognizing that raises my vibrations.
Right.
So I need to do something along those lines that's going to help me raise the vibration. Whether it's be like, I'm going to put on my favorite record while I drive home, or while I'm sitting at home, I put it on my phone, or meditation is great.
Yes.
Being around other people, if it matches
if you're an extrovert.
If you're extrovert, or if it matches your energy, you can get a lot from that too.
Yeah.
Your animals, nature. Nature is probably besides meditation, I would say nature, meditation, and music are the top
Yes.
3
Yeah.
to raise your vibration.
Yeah, I think everybody's different, but like for me, music is
Yeah.
absolutely the top one. Like, I can't just like put it on and then still be like arguing in my head. Like, I have to really focus on the music. But as soon as as soon as the click happens, I can feel the change. I can feel my vibration raising, you know? And taking a shower. I love to take showers. I love like just that time to, you know, listen to music in there or meditate. So you just have to find what really works for you, what makes you happy. You know, sometimes just getting in my car and driving and singing along to the radio helps. And then you just have to take that time. You know, if you're in a situation where you're feeling like, you can take that time. Take a few minutes, listen to the music, take some deep breaths, you know, and get your vibration back to normal. And I think the more that you do it, the more that you learn about it, the easier it is to do over time. Because it was really hard for me at first, but now it's much, much easier.
But I would just go for whatever, you know, those are my top 3, but I would go for whatever things that turn you on, you know, that get you excited, that raises your happiness.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Stay away from those things that pull you down. So.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're shooting to lower your vibration, then go for it. But, you know, typically that's not going to be as much of a help, I don't think.
No,
So.
probably not. So I hope we answered your questions
Thanks,
for you,
Hillary.
Hillary. And thank you. Yes. So then I do a reading every week. And we're going to do something a little bit different this week. I'm going to do a missing pet reading. I've never done one of these on the show before. I don't know why, I just haven't. But earlier today in my group, I saw that this lady had posted for her cat that's only been missing at this point probably like 14, 16 hours, something like that.
Okay.
And then she emailed me, she messaged me, she wanted to get a reading. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do this on the show. And give people an idea of how the missing pet readings work, what I see, how I'm able to help people find their pets and other things like that.
Great idea.
So the cat that is missing is Rosie. That's Rosie.
Hey, Rosie.
Yep. Rosie has only, let's see, I'm going to go back to what she said about Rosie because she's only been with her a short time. She said she was an outdoor cat when she was born. She was used to being outdoors, and then I adopted her around 4 months with her siblings. We moved the house recently. I was made to move and didn't want to because of the cats. I am new to channeling, and I just tried, and I got that she's afraid, but I'm unsure, so I could use some help. Okay, so this is... Hear our Betty in the background. She's like, I want to be in the show too. Okay, so Rosie is still alive. That's the first thing that I do is I connect to the energy and let the person know, past or alive. And she's very much alive. She likes to be outside. She really is enjoying herself. She's not, I don't feel at all like she's upset or she's afraid or anything like that. She feels very naturally comfortable outside. She is very close nearby. One of the mistakes I think that people make when they have a missing pet is that they will spend hours upon hours looking, walking. And that is so hard because these animals are constantly moving.
Yeah.
So a place that you could have looked 5 minutes ago, that could be where the cat is now.
Right.
So I tell people, don't waste too much time with that. I understand needing to get out and look a little bit, but don't overdo it on yourself. Signs are the most number one important thing. But with this situation, I don't think you're going to need it. I mean, I hate to say that because, you know, if you have a missing cat, go ahead and put the signs up. But I really feel like she's going to come back on her own and that's not necessary. But usually in this kind of case, I'd probably recommend after being missing for 24 hours for a cat and for a dog immediately.
How long has Rosie been?
About 16 hours, I think. Cats will stay gone for a long time.
Yeah.
And do just fine on their own. They are very resilient, and Rosie here is definitely one of those that she can take care of herself. So please try not to worry. She wasn't trying to run away. She's not unhappy where she's living. She's just really likes to be outside, and she's feeling a level of freedom right now that she hasn't felt in a long time.
Yeah.
So try not to worry too much. I'm going to tell her to please go home.
Yeah.
And a lot of times this does work. They will go home, especially if it's been very recent and they're nearby and somebody hasn't taken them in, then they will. Sometimes people take them in. But I don't feel like that with this cat. I feel like she's still very much outside and just really enjoying being outside.
That has to be a tough transition for her, being used to being raised that way.
Yes.
And then not.
Yes.
That's a huge lifestyle change.
That is another great point, because I have another lady that I worked with who adopted one of these cats that used to be outside, and the cat pees all over the place.
Yeah.
And so, we've come to the conclusion that the cat really wants to be outside. Doesn't have to be all the time, but at least some kind of time outside. But I understand that can be really nerve-wracking. People don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. But they make all kinds of things now that you can put outside and put your cat in for them to play and stuff like that. They love the fresh air. They love to chase the critters. And, if you have cat or have had cats, a lot of them, you'll notice, they sit by a window. They love to have their cat tree by a window. They love to look out and watch things. So it's just in their instinct. So when these cats get out, most of the time, they do pretty well, and I don't feel like there's anything here that, happened, anything bad.
Most of the time they do. I have a kind of a funny, not so funny story, but it is. My sister, many years ago, she moved out on her own, like right out of high school, and she had gotten her own little place and the kitten, and she stayed there for a few years, this particular place, but she was going out of town one weekend, and she's like, hey, would you stay here and watch Tabitha, the cat? And at this point, Tabitha had been around for a few years. And I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. So I was there, and, I had a couple friends over, whatever, we're just hanging out. And somehow Tabitha got out.
Oh.
And Tabitha was strictly an indoor cat. And I'm like, oh my God, this cat's never been outside. What am I going to do? Do I call my sister right away? Because she was in San Francisco. And do I tell her and ruin her trip?
Ruin her trip.
And what if the cat comes back? Then I've ruined her trip for no reason.
Yeah, totally.
So something said, just hold off.
Yeah.
And I had to go through the night without her. But I think it was like either late at night or really first thing in the morning. She was right back at the screen, all meow.
Let me in.
Enough. Thank you.
Seriously. I know people worry about cats being out at night and stuff, but they are really resilient. And those things that do happen, a lot of times it's like if a cat's been out a long time and it just randomly happens one night. It's not normally like a cat gets out and the coyote finds it right away. It doesn't usually work like that. And I know with Rosie, it's not going to work like that. So with these lost pet readings, a lot of times what I do is I get the address that the pet went missing from, and then I get a map, and I intuitively will see things, feel things, and I'll look and see what I see on the map that resembles it. It's really hard. It's like finding a needle in a haystack, and especially because I might see something and there might be 5 of those somethings around. I was working on one yesterday where I saw that there was 2 houses with a vacant lot in between them on a curve of a street. And then I go on the map and I look and there's 4 of those. But, we've narrowed it down, at least in that area. But then the animal's constantly moving.
Plus Google Earth, some of those shots are so old. So
yep. Mm-hmm.
You're seeing something that may have been torn down.
Yep. It's not that helpful.
Or something that has, that hasn't, well, that wouldn't make sense. Anyways, the photographs are old, so you can't always go exactly by what you're seeing.
No, you can't.
With your third eye, because it could be different by then.
Or the animal could move.
Yeah.
And that happens more often than not. I cannot tell an animal, you just stay right where you are, and then 20 minutes later be like, I'm still staying here. No, most of the time they're like, I've been staying here too long. Let's go, So it is tough, but it does help,
Yeah.
So anyway, so I hope that helps for you, and that Rosie, this is Lindsay that I'm doing the reading for, that Rosie comes home soon.
Yeah.
So I've told her, you go home. Your mom is very worried, and your siblings are worried too.
Yes.
So, yeah. So there you have it.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Yep,
Thanks,
you,
Rosie.
Lindsay. Yep, and Rosie.
Cool.
All right, that's it.
All right. Well, then, episode 157, Enjoying the Season You're In.
This was something that I didn't even think about until probably the last couple of years, about how our lives really do come in seasons. Like there's just like, we have the 4 seasons. Our lives are constantly changing, but there's periods of time where certain things are like this, and then they change, and then they're like that, and it's all good.
And sometimes it's abrupt change, but then at the same time, sometimes you can feel change coming.
Yes. Oh,
Almost like you can feel the actual seasons sort of changing gradually. For us, it's not so gradual, but
no.
But yeah, that's an interesting perspective too, because change is inevitable. So I guess you're never going to be in that same season always.
Let's look at the metaphor, okay? The season that you're in. So just like, we'll take spring, for example, okay? Spring, there's new life. There's new little babies being born to the animals. There's flowers. There's all kinds of beautiful things. But there's also allergies.
Yeah.
And tornadoes. And the mosquitoes are
Bugs.
waking up. Yeah, the bugs. They're waking up, exactly. But if you focused only on the negative, you're missing out on the positives.
Yes.
I am not a summer person, and I'm going to do my best this summer now to kind of look at this differently. Because usually I am like, oh, I can't wait for summer to be over. Yeah. But it really is the same thing, because there are beautiful things that come with summer. We can heat the pool and enjoy it.
And based on our experience in life, we can stand there at 110 degrees in the summer and be thinking, I can't imagine what it's like to have it be 55 degrees and raining and cold.
Yeah.
You can't. But through your experience in life, that change is going to come.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You know that the moment you're in, the season you're in, is not going to last forever. So there is some sort of gratitude or reprieve in that thought alone. I think the only challenge here for us when we're using season as our terminology or analogy is that sometimes in life we can't see when the seasons are going to change or they change suddenly.
Right. And you know what? There are people that don't see that, that don't see that the seasons, they don't. But let me give you an example of this, like on the human side of things. Okay. Let's say being a parent. Okay. Being a parent is very rewarding. You get to raise little versions of yourself, right? And spread wisdom to them and pass on traditions and make new memories. But man, it is the most exhausting job, isn't it? And I mean, I've never had a newborn. I'm just a stepmom, but I can imagine that there's got to be a lot of parents that when they have that newborn, they are like, I cannot wait for this stage to be over. That's the season. That right there is the season, and there are a lot of people that don't see that season will eventually come to an end. They just look at the negative that's in it. And it's funny because the other night you had the guys over, you were recording. And so I watched My Big Fat Greek Wedding. And at the beginning of it, Tula, the main character, she's going on and on about how nothing ever changes, how everything stays the same. She'll always be a waitress. She'll always be frumpy looking, this, that, and the other, right? She decided to make a change. Yeah. If she wouldn't have decided to make a change, then that season in that way would have probably stayed forever. Yes. But she chose to make a change. And so that particular thing that was going on was not a part of her next season, so to speak, And
I love that theme that runs through that movie for that very reason, because it's sort of, it like shows you that it's about perception. So like whatever season you're in, you're perceiving it to be something that maybe others around you don't perceive it to be.
That's true.
Like maybe everybody around her didn't think she was frumpy, didn't think she was staying the same and nothing was changing in her life. I don't know that for sure. I don't remember the movie exactly. But any place that we're in our life, yes, there's like good parts about it, and then there's bad parts about it.
Yeah.
Where is that focus during that season?
Right.
Are you focused when it really literally is 110 degrees? You know, if you're like so angry at it, you're giving it that energy, you know? So then you take that and put it in our analogy of you're going through a divorce.
Yeah.
And which could, for some people, be very smooth and not such a tough season. And for others, could be very long.
Absolutely.
And drawn out and very emotionally draining.
Yeah. And when we're in one of those seasons, a lot of times, you know, we're like, oh, I can't wait for this to be over. I can't wait for the season to be over. But we also have to take a look at what's going on besides those negative things, because even at the darkest times, there are usually things that are positive in the dark times, and vice versa. You know, you're going to have seasons of your life where, you know, everything's great, and then maybe something hits out of the blue. And it's not supposed to knock you down and ruin that season. That's just what happens. That's just normal. It's just completely normal, as weird as it is.
I spent this morning just in the shower and kind of thinking about this episode, and you know, I first said to you, I was taking it, your statement or title, enjoying the season you're in. I was looking at it more from the perspective of, hey, things are going really good right now. How about I don't go and crap all over?
Yeah.
You know, like I don't look at all the negative.
Yeah, that too.
In underlying in there, maybe I focus more on the positive and not rain on my own parade.
Right, exactly.
But then I started thinking about it from the other side too, and going, oh, well, what if you're kind of in the midst of happy things, but you're also dealing with a lot of tough things.
Yeah.
And perception for me is just kind of jumped out, like this resounding feeling of perception. And I kind of sort of just, from there, I just sort of stepped backwards in my mind. Like I kept walking backwards going, well, what do I perceive in all of this? As almost as if like I was standing on Earth and just shot up into space, but viewing the Earth. So I could see everything I was leaving behind that was the past.
Right.
And then that brought me to this whole idea of this being a simulation. And meaning that as hard as the divorces are or the deaths are, these traumatic events that happen to us are exactly why we're here.
Yes.
Now, I don't mean to sound like this is a bad thing.
Yeah.
No, this is not. This is why we chose to come here, was to actually feel the feelings that go along with going through a divorce.
Yes.
Losing someone you love very much.
Yes.
This is part of it. We don't understand it fully until we get to the other side, and then we're all together again, and we realize that was just a play.
Yep.
It was just a movie.
That's right.
For us to act all this out so we could feel these feelings.
Right.
That we don't feel up here every day. But these are also the feelings that the creator, the source, needs to know, because it's so huge. It can't come down here and walk around. Okay, Christ, if you want to say, yes, he did that. And essentially, we're all doing that.
Yeah.
We're all coming down here to feel and experience and then go back and share.
Yep.
And add to this giant pot of knowledge. So it's my perception. And then I look at it and say, well, why are these bad things happening to me? But Jim over there across the street, he seems to be doing just fine.
Right.
Nothing changes for that guy.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like to walk
No, you
around
don't.
in his head.
No, you don't. Nope.
It's merely my own experience. It has nothing to do with Jim or anybody else.
Yeah.
It's your own experience. And death is probably a huge one that you feel like can rock your boat and feel like a long, long season.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that you have gone through that.
Yeah.
And as somebody who posted this, De Niro, can't remember her
Lori.
first. Lori, thank you. Made a great statement about getting older.
Yeah.
And I really related to this, Lori.
I'll find it.
And about age. And we're in this sort of season now where me being 50, I'm seeing people that were older than me pass away.
Yeah.
I'm seeing people my age pass away. And unfortunately, I'm seeing people younger than me pass away. It's typically the latter most of the time. This loss really puts in perspective for you as an individual what that connection you had with that person was and really meant.
Yeah.
It crosses all boundaries. I mean, it has nothing to do with physical. It exists even when the physical's gone.
Yeah.
That love and that connection still exists.
Yep.
Whether you can hear that person or communicate with that person or not yourself, you feel it in your heart.
Yep.
You're experiencing that emotion, that connection, which is, of all things, it's love.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what we're here to learn, is love. I saw this on Dolores's page that they shared the other day, was we're not here to learn unconditional love. That's where we're from.
Right.
Because the source is unconditional love. That's where we started.
Right.
We're here to learn crazy love, can't explain it love, why am I doing this love,
Yeah.
this is scary love. We're here to experience all those things, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the indifferent.
Yep.
It seems so real and it feels so real. But I keep going back to that. It's just my movie.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to read what Lori said.
Please, because it was wonderful.
She said, I am working on the realization that I'm in the last third of my life, and it's been very difficult. It's like you wake up one day and you've aged and can no longer hide the wrinkles. Your hair has changed, and your body truly lets you know that some of the energy and stamina you used to have is just not there anymore. You realize you're the oldest person at work, and that many places of employment don't even have anyone over 30 working there. Things that used to be important don't seem so important anymore, and things you used to like to do aren't really fun anymore. Right. But I realize that the things I do find important are more important than ever, and the things I like to do are more low-key but more satisfying than ever. I have a lot to learn about being a senior citizen, and I know that learning to accept and embrace it will make it much easier on myself.
Age is another one. And I don't know if you could put that in a season in itself. Maybe you could in your own mind.
Yeah.
I don't see why you can't. I look back in history and I think how in a lot of other civilizations, elders were put up.
Oh, yeah.
Not because they looked ugly or old or wrinkly. It's because they had life experience.
Their wisdom, yep.
They had wisdom. Mm-hmm. We're supposed to embrace it, but we live in a society today that's knocking wrinkles and it's knocking, body types, gender roles. We're constantly not living our own experience and have our nose in everybody else's experience.
That's right.
This part about this life is to understand what it's like to be young and what it's like to be old.
Right.
We don't really understand being young and appreciate it until we've gotten older.
That is true.
So we're supposed to embrace this part of our life as well.
Yep.
Those wrinkles, that's our character. But what we see in magazines and television is people going and paying to have their skin stretched over their face so they look 30 years younger. If that's what you like and it makes you happy, go for it.
Yeah.
I'm going to pass.
Yeah, me too.
I feel like I'm supposed to just embrace the change of the season.
Yes.
And as I change, I'm supposed to love myself no matter what. This is about my self-love.
Right.
And love in general and all those other crazy loves that we're talking about, to experience.
Right.
But it's not about being ashamed of how you age and what you look like as you get older, or even what you look like when you're younger.
Yep.
We need to teach people, children preferably, this now at a young age.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I used to hear all the time that youth is wasted on the young, and it really is. I really agree with that. I think that, as you get older, you get wiser, and it's just, I feel better at 45 than I did at 25, mentally and physically, actually. But I do recognize what Lori's saying about the physical issues, though, too, that all of a sudden things just don't work like they used to anymore. And I remember being like 20 and thinking that I'm never going to have these problems, and then I'm 45 and I'm like, I can't crack this one finger because of you too, because of the
that
arthritis.
just started popping up for me was, I've gotten over the last probably couple months, like the arthritis started happening in my hands and my fingers swelling up. Then I got like fair skin issues, so I'm getting melanomas and
it's been tough.
Carcinoidal whatever stuff sliced and burned and frozen off, and so
poor thing.
But that's part of this,
it is.
And I just try to remember that.
Yeah,
is that I have this body to feel those things.
Yep.
And there's going to come a day when I'm not going to be in this anymore.
Yep.
For a time, and I'll enjoy that season when it gets here.
Right.
But I want to try to enjoy this one as much as possible. And by enjoy, I mean embrace everything.
Yes.
Like when I got to cry or I got to let it out, embrace it, man.
Yes, absolutely.
When I want to dance and jump and sing, embrace it.
We, like you had said earlier about, the difference between heaven and earth and like the feeling that you have. We're not supposed to have a perfect life here because in heaven it is perfect.
Yeah.
Then why would we come here?
This is about the mistakes.
Exactly. It's about the feelings. And they are tough, feeling those feelings. That can be really hard, but that's what we're supposed to do here. We're supposed to experience all of this, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it.
Right.
Take it as it comes.
Miles Davis said this quote, something close to it, and I could put it in this analogy. It's like, it's not a wrong note until the next note you hit.
That's true, yeah.
That determines whether the note before was a wrong note.
That's right, yeah.
So it's almost like, how do you react?
Yep. Right.
What is your reaction?
Yep.
That will determine probably success or failure.
Yep. When I started putting this episode together, I thought about what about when you're in a season that is just really, really hard and you can't see your way out of it. You can't see the light at the end of the tunnel because it does happen, And I was thinking about, okay, for me, what was that? It was obviously my mom passing, And I think if I could go back now and have to do it over, there are things about it that I would change because I did make it worse for myself. I really did. And that's something that we have to try and not do. When we are in those times that we just feel like there is absolutely nothing good going on, that it's just all bad, we have to change our perception a little bit and look at what is good, even if it just comes down to, I'm alive. I'm healthy. I have a roof above my head. My bills are paid. Whatever it is, those are still positive things to look at. I wish that after my mom would have passed, I wouldn't have listened to all the sad music that I did. That made things a lot worse. So I was making the situation worse. Where if I would have maybe listened to more upbeat songs that she liked, if I needed to have that connection, things like that we need to do to try and help ourselves, because these bad times, these times where we feel, a lot of times they are leading us to something else, to something better. And I've said many times that if somebody would have said that to me when my mom died, I would have thought they were crazy, that one day this is going to change your life for the better, when she died. And it did. Yeah. And I can't imagine now what life would have been like if she would have lived. It would have been completely different, and not in a good way. So sometimes the universe has to knock you off kilter to put you where you're supposed to be.
Right.
And another example of this is if you are resisting change. If, like, for me, I feel like my divorce, it should have happened long before it did, like maybe a few years before.
Right.
But I didn't really have a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he wasn't bad to me. We just were growing our separate ways. We were, it wasn't what it used to be. Or we didn't have that connection,
Yeah.
But I couldn't say that I had a real reason. And so I stayed, and I stayed, and I stayed until the universe gave me a reason. It pushed me into that divorce so quickly and so harshly that now I think back, and I wish that I would have just said, you know what? I just know that this is where I need to go with this, instead of putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. So a lot of times we can extend those bad seasons of our life by not listening to what the universe is trying to tell us, by not taking the steps forward, because change it's uncomfortable.
Right.
And when you take a risk like that, like a divorce, you don't know what's going to happen, know? This friend of mine that I went hiking with today, she is divorced, and she's feeling like at 45 that how's she going to find somebody?
Yeah.
That it's over for her. And I'm like, no, it's not.
No.
This is just this season. It will get better. You will find somebody, but maybe it's not the right time right now. Maybe this season of your life does not include a man. Maybe, and I even threw this out. I said, maybe this guy that you're going to meet down the road, maybe he's still married and he's having problems and is going to go through a divorce himself. And so the timelines have to line up.
Right.
So if you're always pushing for something to happen, like if you're like, I need a relationship right now and I'm just going to be in this one and push it, you could be missing what's really meant for you.
Right. And or walk into something really bad.
Yes, absolutely.
Just because you can't handle the season you're in,
But that doesn't mean like that she shouldn't date. And in situations like this where you shouldn't date, you should still experience life. And I told her self-care. At this time in your life, self-care is important. The universe wants to see you learn to be who you are.
If you're listening, don't worry.
Yeah.
This is not it. You're a lovely person. You're very pretty. You have a lot of talent. Take the time for you.
Yep.
And it will come.
Yep, that's what I told her.
Yeah.
So, and I said this to Danny a little bit ago, and he thought it was funny. But I said, you have to kiss a lot of frogs to meet your prince.
That was funny.
It's true. I went on I dated a lot of people before you and I reconnected, and I was feeling the same way. Like, this is just,
right.
What is this? All the reject fish.
I've been fortunate.
Frogs.
I haven't lost my parents. I've lost grandmothers and grandfathers and aunts and uncles whom I love all you very much. And I've lost very close friends. But I'm lucky my parents are still here.
Yeah.
And I know that I still have that to face in life one day. Divorce was probably my toughest season.
Yeah.
And that's right when I reconnected with you.
Yeah.
I was in the thick of it. And that's a terrifying thing to share with somebody, that you're going to kind of maybe establish a relationship with is, hey, I have a child and I'm going through this really awful divorce.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to end up with zilch when it's all said and done.
That's not what's important.
And you know what? None of it went that way.
No, it didn't.
But my point is, I could have not looked at the light that was coming in by meeting Samantha entering my life. And I could have solely focused on the darkness of the season of the divorce.
Yeah.
And what it was potentially doing to my child. And I could have ruined that relationship with you. I could have taken out my frustration and my anger at you about what this was going on over here.
Right.
We often do that with the people we love.
Yeah, we do.
But I chose to do my best to not do that to you.
No.
To not make it about you.
Yeah.
And that was the best thing that ever happened to me because here we are, 5 years married,
Right.
And 8 or 9 together.
9. We just celebrated 9.
So
And look, 2, 4, 3.
it's again was my perception of, okay, I'm walking through this time that's a dark season, but the universe sent me someone
Right.
that I don't have to walk alone.
Right.
I had my parents, and they were very supportive with me through it all, both financially and morally, and were probably almost every hearing, if not all of them. I had somebody from my family there. But again, this was brought in at a time when I needed it, when I asked for it.
Right.
I specifically asked for it in a kind of very dark place, like feeling kind of like how your friend was feeling. Like,
Right.
who's going to want all this baggage?
Right. Right.
And then she walked into my life for the second time.
Yeah.
Sure.
Our
And then I
mom
realized
and
why I met her the first time.
yeah.
Like it all
clicks.
Yeah, I
Yep.
was like, because my life was going to go this way.
Yep.
And I needed somebody that I could relate to. Did I know that I was going to relate to you that well the second time we reconnected? Not necessarily, but I knew from the first time of being around you, the couple times I was, just that gentle feeling that I got.
Yeah.
Like this, she's so soft and quiet and kind of timid, a little bit. But that's what I needed.
Right, for sure.
In my life.
Yeah.
I needed like the room to quiet. You need to calm down.
You're being
You're
too loud.
too loud.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So
I feel you. For sure. Yeah, I mean, we all have those times, and really, if you look back at some of the worst times of your life, I'm sure that you can see some of the good that'll come out of it. My divorce was horrible for me too. I cried for probably a year straight, not because of the divorce itself, but because of everything that came with it, all of the emotions, all of the everything, losing everything, starting over. It was bad. But once I got through it, it was great. Once you see it in a different way and see, whoa, wait, I'm single for the first time in my life, really, that I can remember. And I can do whatever I want. There's nobody that tells me I can't,
Right.
You start to see the positives in it. And just like what I was telling my friend, you and I were divorced at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, we were married. This was when we were supposed to be brought together. You could have, or I could have, continued to deny that we needed to get divorces from the other people that we were with. Well, for me, it really was like the universe was like, no, this is done, But, we needed that happen at that time, because at any other time, it wouldn't have made sense, because we weren't ready for each other. Yeah. So we have to really, in these seasons, understand that a lot of times there's deeper reasons why all of these things happen. And I'm going to give you just a rundown of some. Let's see. Your season might be preparing you for what's next, just like what we were talking about. Mm-hmm. You have to go through the divorce season to find the prince.
Yeah.
So yeah. You may be able to help someone else with your season. Mm-hmm. Okay. A lot of times, even good things, we can help people with our experiences. We have to go through certain things. Your season may bring cherished memories. Okay. We were talking about this earlier. Zuma, our Great Dane, as a puppy, oh my gosh, he was the worst puppy. And we joke now that it's like, how did our marriage survive it?
Yeah, he's a handful.
He was bad. But I remember thinking, it's not going to be like this forever. He's gonna, he'll get out of this stage, and now he is just, I tell him, he's practically perfect in every way. Yeah. You just have to come through those bad times. And same with a kid, they go through their terrible 2s or 3s or 15s. Right. And it's going to be over one day, and things will change. And then, you know what? You'll face something else.
Yeah.
And then that'll get better, and you'll face something else. Let's see. It may fly by when you see it as a gift.
Yeah.
If you look at things differently, it won't seem like you're trapped in this pit of despair.
Yeah.
It really is about perception, like you said, about changing the way that you look at things.
Yeah, as like a parent, I'll be honest, as a parent, I was not great at getting up at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning when the baby was crying.
Yeah.
I was so not good with that. I'm guilty of that. I also worked like 4 a.m. shifts.
Yeah.
So my ex-wife usually got up with her most of the time. outside of that, I was more than involved and happy to be involved. But there were periods of, yes, oh my gosh, like this feels like such a long season.
Yeah.
Like the infancy.
Yeah,
you were talking about this earlier and going, I can't wait till they can just sit up on their own and
feed themselves.
Yeah, and then that comes and you're like, oh, there's a whole nother laundry list of things that are happening that wasn't happening before.
I'll take the other stuff back.
Like, why did that stand-up lamp just fall over? Oh, because the kid can move now.
Yep.
And so you have to keep your eye on him. You know what I mean? Like before you could sit him in this little rocking chair and they would just sit there and rock and they're not going anywhere until you pick them up.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it moves into a new stage where you've got to keep your eye on them.
Yeah.
And you got to plug all the electric sockets. And so, and then all of a sudden I find myself here now. Mm-hmm. And feeling like, wow, time is such like an illusion.
It is.
Because that felt like a blink of an eye now that our daughter's 17 years old.
Yeah.
Diapers and all that feels like a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
But at the moment, it felt like a lifetime.
Forever, yep. Mm-hmm.
It started to go fast as you know, and we realize that as we have children, we realize how much quicker time seems to go.
Yeah.
But that's because we're enjoying it.
You're living
You just
through them.
said that.
Mm-hmm.
You just said that it will go by quick.
Yeah.
If you're finding the gift in it.
Yep.
If you're looking and perceiving the bad, it's going to feel like a lifetime.
Yep. Yep. Choosing to enjoy the season that you're in, it'll help you in so many different ways. But one of them is generally you'll be more content and happy with your life. You'll see things differently. When something heavy does come along, you'll look at it and say, it's not going to be forever and I can handle this. Yeah. You know, I didn't meet, but I found out that I have a father that I didn't know existed and siblings, right? Well, when that first happened, it was everything. It was all that anybody could talk about. It was like the topic and everything, really. And during that time, I was thinking, oh my gosh, like I can't wait till this just becomes normal. It just feels normal. And you know what? Now it's starting to get more normal. And I'm glad that I looked at it that way. I mean, I did cry. I did have my times, but I wasn't constantly stressed about it. I was just like, you know what? It will get to a norm. It will get there. This isn't going to last forever. And I just went with it. And I feel like I handled that situation 1,000,000 times better than I would have earlier in my life when I wouldn't have seen it that way. Yeah. When I would have been like, oh my God, this sucks. It's never going to end. You know, no.
Right.
Everything changes. It does. So once you start realizing that and changing the way that you look at things, you will be more content with your life as it is. You'll also not have the regrets. Looking back, you will see that you dealt with things the way you should. Mm-hmm. You dealt with the bad things, but you also enjoyed the good things. Right. You'll feel better about the past, right. I guess, is what I'm trying to say here.
And through most of these experiences that I've had in my life that have felt like tough seasons, I almost always, somehow, at some point, have some sort of realization about that particular time.
Yep.
And something that I learned in that time.
Yes.
Sometimes it comes across as epiphany, like a boom. Mm-hmm. Smack across the face, like, whoa. Or I've recognized it for a while, but there's always something learned from it, whether it's good or bad. Like Michael passing last month, for example, I thought, oh God, how long is this season going to last?
Yeah, right? Yeah.
This because I would just think about him and just tear up,
yep.
You know, at certain points of the day. And then it was sort of like, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
You know, it passed. Yeah. I asked him to help me with that because I didn't want to always think of him and think of how he died.
Right, for sure.
And be sad by that. I wanted to think about when he went through his divorce and he was staying in a place at the time when he left where he was at with his wife. He was staying in a place that wasn't good for him. And I was telling my ex-wife at the time, my friend is in a really bad spot and he needs help. And we needed a roommate because the guy that was living with us moved back east to where he was from after being out here for a while. And so Michael moved in with us. And I was his help and his support and his ear to talk to while he was going through his. And then lo and behold, about 4 years later, I'm going through mine.
Yep.
And he's still there living with me for a short while and being my support and, you know, my ear to talk to.
Yep.
It was like we were there for each other when we were supposed to be there for each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so losing him made me realize why we went on that journey together.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
What we shared and what we taught each other as husbands and as fathers.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Oh, I have so much more, but you know what? Just a couple of things before we finish up because we're almost out of time. One of the things that I think is really important is when you're experiencing a good season, be so grateful for it. Be overly grateful for it. Tell the universe, oh, I'm so grateful for this, so grateful. Feel it. You'll feel it. And that helps you to remember how good that feels when the season is good. So that when things are bad, you will remember that and say, okay, but this is just right now, and I'm going to get to a better season.
Yeah.
You know? Also changing your wording because I can't tell you how real the law of attraction is. Like, it's so real, it's not even funny, okay? So you change your wording, like, okay, let's say, for example, that you don't like summer, like me, okay? I can't wait for summer to be over. I hate it. I can't wait for it, right? Change the wording. I'm so looking forward to winter. Winter's going to be beautiful. You know, just change the things that you say and the way that you say them, and you're going to feel different. Your mind's going to feel different, and you're going to attract different things because the law of attraction is real.
Yep.
Yep.
And one thing to point out, too, is no matter what season you're in, I find I only do this, not only, I typically would only do this in the past when I was in darker seasons and kind of at my wit's end. I would ask for what I need.
Oh, yeah.
Not what I want.
Yes.
What I need.
Yes.
You can do this in good seasons.
Yes.
And you can do this in bad seasons.
Yep.
So, yeah, like, real quick, I sat going through a divorce in my car out front of my aunt's going, what am I doing? I'm 45 years old. I'm living with my aunt. I have a child. I need somebody that will help me realize who I am, that will love me and my kid for who we are. And I got that.
Yeah, you asked for it.
Sometimes when we're sitting in seasons of good, we're going, well, I don't really need anything. What do I ask for?
Right.
I need so-and-so to know that I'm thinking about them and that I love them.
Yeah.
And they will know it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Just like it's happened to me over the last 3 weeks. Everybody that I've been thinking about and telling you I'm thinking about, I get called by or texted by within 24 hours or 48 hours.
Yeah, they feel it.
It's like I'm putting it out there.
Yeah.
I'm letting them know I love you and I'm thinking about you.
Yep. And here's something else. When you are in those down parts of your life, try and help others in that time too, because that helps to raise your vibration. You know, we have a tendency of when we're having a bad season of just falling into it and not looking for any of the good. But if we just try and, you know, step a little bit outside of that, see that we're not the only person going through a bad time, maybe help somebody else that is.
That was a good answer for, was it Hillary's questions about how to raise your
vibration? Mm-hmm.
Do something for somebody else.
Yes, there you go. Forgot that one.
That will raise your vibrations.
Yep, it absolutely will.
So
there we have it.
Very good.
Yay.
Do you have any more? We can go a couple more minutes if you needed.
Let's see. Well, one of the other tips that I had on here was to figure out what's most important in your life. Like take the top 3 or 4 things that are most important in your life and put the positive effort into those. You know, those other little things that maybe bother you that are like number 10 on your list, what difference did they make?
Right.
You know, don't put all of your time and energy into those things. Put it into the positive things, the things that need to be taken care of, you know? So if you are having family issues, but then you're having issues like, let's say with like a friend you haven't seen in 10 years, well, you're going to put the effort into the family. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's hard to have all the energy to take care of all the things. So you have to figure out these are the most important things. And when I'm having a down season, I'm still going to put my energy and my focus into these positive things.
Yeah.
You know? So
Great.
Yep. Let's see. I think that's it.
All
Really.
right.
Yeah. I think we're good.
Very good.
Yep.
Good job.
Thank you.
That was a fun one.
I thought so. I hope that everybody got something out of it. I got tears out of it.
I did, but I feel like energized.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I just don't know like why I got tears out of it, but it's good.
We have to
Everything makes
talk,
me
bring
cry.
things up that are tough
Yeah, true.
in the conversation.
This is true.
But I enjoyed it.
I did too.
Cool. Well, before we say goodbye to everybody, would you like to share your information?
Yes, you can find me at SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com or our podcast at SpiritualJoneses.com or at SpiritualJoneses on the social media platforms.
Yay.
Yay. And you, sir?
Yes, for my art, djonesartcollection.com for the web, at djonesartcollection for Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
Great.
And we forgot to do that at the beginning.
I know. I just remembered that we
So-
said we were going to do at the beginning.
But we
and
did last
forgot.
week.
Yeah.
I'll make sure we do it next week.
I'll try.
Just a little shameless plug. Folk.
Well, it's like people have to know where to find us.
Yeah, exactly. Because we do other things.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all I got.
Great.
We hope everybody got something out of this week.
I did.
I did too.
Great.
And we hope you guys have a great week.
That we do.
Until next week, peace and love.